What up? What up? Welcome to the Keep It Going podcast. My guy Doc is a real dude sitting with real people having real conversations. Now make sure you subscribe so that you can get notifications every Tuesday. Now let's chop it up.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another show of Keeping It Goines. We have a heater today. Today's segment is going to be called "I Have Rights." I have rights. We want to explore what does the law say. Not your cousin, not your jailhouse lawyers, not your uncle who can't stay out of jail, not your homeboys who've never been arrested. We want to talk about what actually are my rights. Not what YouTube has, not what social media shows. What are my real rights as pertains to being a citizen of these sometimes yet to be a not United States of America? And so I have some people on the couch with me. You've seen Randy before. He's a police officer, peace officer. Thank you for joining us again, brother.
Yes, sir.
And this sister is my sis. I think we're first cousins, I'm not sure. This is Attorney Ebony, and to her right, it is the man, the myth, the legend, the one that DAs fear all across Texas. This is Esquire Counselor Leon. How y'all doing, man?
Good, sir.
Thank y'all for being here. This is awesome. And I want to dive right into this, man, because you know, there are a lot of misconceptions of citizens just really don't know what their rights are. Right. And oftentimes they get into more trouble than needed because they honestly did not know. And they stand on things that in their mind make sense, but the law disagrees. And so what I want to do, man, I just want to go over several things. And so let's just start with the thing that everybody want to know. When a police officer pulls me to the side and asked me to show my ID, and I know I ain't did nothing, do I have to show him my ID? Because everybody knows that one of the easiest charges to get hit with is failure to ID. Is that a real charge, first of all?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Does it carry time?
Yes, it does.
How much?
Class B misdemeanor. Failure to ID should be a Class B misdemeanor, which means it would carry up to a $2,000 fine and up to 6 months in jail.
Okay.
And it can be a Class A
if you have a warrant.
If you're a fugitive, if you have a
warrant. What if I just don't have no ID?
You still have to reasonably identify yourself.
Right. So I can say my name without showing them my ID?
Absolutely. This is not World War II Russia where you got to run around with your papers, or Germany or something like that. And the first of all, do you have to? Now that comes.
That's
in two
the question.
If you're driving.
Before you ask that question,
okay.
Answer. I won't ask police officer. When you say, show me your ID, and I say, for what?
Right. Yes, you do have to ID as long as I pulled you over for an actual violation.
But so can I first find out why you pulled me over?
That's more so like a courtesy thing. I mean, let me get your information first.
So you don't have to tell me why you pulled me over?
Ultimately, yeah. But in that moment, because if it's a deal, say that we'll go deep. Say the feds are watching the house and the feds have me do a traffic stop on said vehicle, and we don't need you to know what's going on necessarily at that time.
That's extreme.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm saying I am a regular citizen driving home, and I get pulled over, and I don't know why you pulled me. You say, show me your ID. Do I have to show you my ID at that point?
Yes.
Because I'm driving a vehicle?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
If you're driving, and I'll say this, then there are two different circumstances here. If you're driving and you get pulled over, it's presumably because you've committed some type of traffic violation.
Okay.
Okay, police can't just pull you over because they want to.
Right.
Okay.
They have to have a valid reason to pull you over.
Right.
Okay.
If you're the driver of that vehicle, at that point in time, you are required to show your driver's license and proof of insurance for the vehicle, which can now be obtained by them typically running the license plate.
Correct.
Now, whether or not you committed that violation can be determined later at a court, but I tell people all the time, if a cop wants to write you a speeding ticket while you're sitting in a parked car, they can, and you have cops who will. But
they can?
They can, because who's to say no one else is around to say that it did or didn't happen? He say you were speeding. I say, no, I wasn't. You know, my car wasn't even running.
He's saying prove it at court later.
Okay.
So again, if they wanted to write you a ticket for failing to use a turn signal and you never even turned, or you never even got out of your lane, failure to use a turn signal when changing lanes. I didn't change lanes. Okay, he can make up a reason to pull you over. So you only get it adjudicated later in court.
So to be clear, for everybody watching, he does not have to give me a reason first before can I ask him, officer, I have my ID, but may I ask you, why did you pull me over?
You can ask that, absolutely.
But he don't have to answer that
and
before
a
he gets...
professional cop should tell you.
Right. It's
Okay.
courtesy,
Right
yeah.
up there, sir, I clocked you doing X, Y, Z, or at that stop sign, you didn't stop correctly. I'm writing you a citation for X, Y, and Z. Now, that's the driver. Okay, that's in a vehicle stop.
Okay.
Okay, say you're the passenger. Hey, I
Good
need your
question.
ID too. No, you don't.
Right.
You pulled him over for speeding.
Right.
That has nothing to do with me as a
But I've
passenger.
seen cops on camera demand the passengers and get mad.
And they are absolutely wrong in that. Here's the thing.
Wow.
You and I walking down the street, you're eating a Snickers bar. I like Snickers. You
I
may
like when almonds with mine.
so almond
Yes.
joy, because
Yes.
your boy eat them too.
Okay.
You decide to litter.
Okay.
A cop sees you throw that paper down. He walks up on you and he's writing you a ticket for littering. Hey, I can look at you and say, bruh, sucks to be you. I'm late for work. I'm going on. That's an issue with you.
Right.
The same principle applies when you're the passenger in a car.
Or you can get out and walk off.
You legally, technically, you can. You start if he pulls up and I'm at my job at McDonald's and I'm about to be late, and you pulled him over for failing to use a turn signal. What does thou this have to do with me?
What does thou this?
You understand?
But with that though, you're not gonna let a passenger walk off.
It depends on the circumstances surrounding the stop. You know what I mean? So I was going to speak to the training piece and the courtesy piece. We have a 7-step traffic stop method. In that, we introduce ourselves and we do tell them the reason for the stop. That's training. Oftentimes, when we first walk up to the car, before we get to speak, we come with the wow. Well, I was finna tell you now, I'm just deal with it. It depends on the energy sometimes, depending on the officer. So the officer can hold to his 7-step method despite what he's getting from the driver, which is the right thing to do.
Gotcha.
But sometimes if you just pause and hold on a second, he gonna tell you.
And so what about the whole thing, Ebony, when I've heard this a million times for like with people filming, am I being detained? And they still walking, right? So at what point can they be detained?
When the police officer, when it no longer becomes just what they call a investigative stop. If it's like, all right, now I'm questioning you because I believe you committed an offense.
Right.
At that point, I can't walk off.
No. Then you're being detained. Then you need to start asking for an attorney. And that's when rights need to be read to you. You have the right to remain silent.
So Eb, do I need to ask for an attorney then, or do I answer these questions?
You need to ask.
Only if you're guilty, right?
Yeah, the only thing you need to really answer is your name and ID. After that, when they start asking you about did you do such and such or any facts into the case, you need an attorney.
But between me and you in the audience, right?
Yeah.
If I'm guilty, wouldn't it behoove me not to answer no questions?
If you're guilty or innocent, it's going to behoove you because I'm going to tell you a big misconception that people have. Innocent people are the ones who make the mistake. They think they can talk themselves out of something. And I promise you, you're only going to talk yourself into something. So whether you believe you're innocent or guilty, you need to be quiet.
Wow. Like period.
Period.
With a T at the end.
Yes.
Whoa. But then y'all be getting mad. I mean, not y'all, but then if they go silent, it's okay. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it a lot of paperwork to arrest somebody?
It's all computer generated. It's not a lot for us. Not in the big city.
So it's not a hit. I thought it's like people, cops don't want to go through the trouble of arresting you and taking you to jail. Like that's like a lot of trouble.
It depends on the officer. So do I want to be off the streets for 2 or 3 hours waiting at the jail with the nurse for a class B misdemeanor for some weed or something like that? Probably not. So it kind of just depends on the officer and what he's into.
And that takes a patrol unit from the beat. They're not just going to call somebody in for 2 hours to replace you while you're gone. That's taking an officer off the street who could call to a higher level offense. Okay,
Gotcha.
But bottom line, if before you are required lawfully to give up any identifying information, you have to be suspected of committing a crime.
Correct.
So if somebody calls, there's just a suspicious guy walking down my street. Suspicious to who? That's not a crime.
Then there's
a guy walking down the street with a gun. Well, that's not a crime. What crime has he committed?
Carry.
And so if a police officer, hey, guy, I just wanted to talk to you. I don't want to talk. Well, I just want to talk to you. How many of y'all is it? It's 2 of us. We'll talk to each other. You understand? It's just, so you don't have to give up information just because somebody wants to know who you are. They have to believe that you have either committed a crime or you're about to commit a crime in order to detain
It's that about to commit a crime that kind of gets you though, right?
Right. Yeah, you really gonna have to have your stuff together to think somebody's about to commit a crime. Like you gotta really like, I don't know, you're gonna have some kind of overt act to lead you to believe that they're
I
crime.
have this about 10 years ago. I was driving around looking for potential properties, and I was in one neighborhood, and I wasn't in my regular car. I was over there about 10, 15, 20 minutes because I was looking at certain property. Police car come railing around the corner, gets out the car, give me 105 questions, and I'm wondering, like, dude, hey, this is not a gated community. I'm in the street. I'm not in nobody's yard. Right. What are you doing?
Right.
Well, you're a suspicious vehicle. I said, Negro, I'm sorry. I said, it's a car. This is the first time you seen a Toyota?
Right.
I said, hey, man, this is about on black. Oh, no. See, there you go. I said, no, but why in the hell else are you pulling me over for driving around a neighborhood?
Yeah.
And so I had to check myself because with everything going on, it just pisses me off that we still have to deal with that type of tomfoolery, you know?
Yes, and that's the bottom line when it comes to that.
One more thing, man. I was leaving with my son when I was leaving the gym. He's got to playing basketball. We got pulled over up the street from the church because, I think, we just got to playing basketball, so we had our shirts off. I'm buffed up on here. It's crazy. And so the police officer pulled us over, and he accused me of driving a stolen vehicle. He said, is this your car? I said, it was like a new Mercedes. It was a loaner. It wasn't even my real car. Mm-hmm. And so he was very suspicious. And when I told him kind of like, so sir, are you accusing me of stealing this vehicle? Well, I'm telling you that those tags don't come with this car. So I was somewhat indignant up front. Then I looked at my son. I'll never forget this. He had both hands on the dash, looking afraid for his life. And I'm looking at the cop like, do you not see this boy? And you keep that energy? I said, you know what, officer, I apologize because I have to be a better example for my son because if he's in a situation with you by himself, I don't want him to adopt this posture. So write your ticket. I'll see you tomorrow. And that's exactly what I did. Called the chief, went down to holler at the chief. But I got another topic.
Right.
Snitching. We need to talk about snitching. The pros is 2-minute jokers in jail for being stupid. I'm not going to jail for free. Is snitching for your clients who in jail, they have information, they can send them home. What do y'all tell them to do?
Talk.
I represent my client.
Period.
Point blank. And so at that point, they have a decision to make. I represent guys right now. 3 other males involved, they got sent to the pen. My guy hasn't been sent to the pen, and I'm trying to keep him from getting
going
sent
on
to
to
the
keep
pen.
him company.
And so my position is, Cooley High, where the cop came and got 2 of them out, left the 3rd one, and he thought they ratted him out, dined him out. He ended up getting beat down and ended up dying.
Wow.
In Cooley High, the movie.
Wow.
And so I'm like, look, bro, you got a choice to make. Now, you can be mad at them for not having as good a lawyer as you have. But if I walk in this court and I get you no time, or I get you way less than they got, they gonna think that you snitched. So what do you want me to do? Because some people are like, hey man, give me what they got. Cause I ain't trying to, because they may say I could be dead in 2 months on the street or alive in here for 4 years if I have that reputation. And so, but at the end of the day, my job is 1, make sure the state plays by the rules.
Sure.
And then give my clients enough information that they make the best informed decision possible.
Here's my big question.
I give them more information and let them make that
Here's
choice.
my big question. This is for you two and for the officer. Because you used to do some investigative stuff, undercover stuff, and you've had to testify in court, and you've been a part of certain deals that people make. Here's my question. Is it a fair statement to say that for the one who's trying to keep it a buck and keep it 100, is it a fair statement to say that 90% of everybody facing time about to tell it to not get as much time?
So I can speak from the interviewing somebody's standpoint. They tough out there on the street sitting on the curb in handcuffs. Super tough and they hard and they ain't doing no talking. You let them sit in that room for about 40 minutes and go in there and talk to them. and show them a picture of their kids or something like that.
Me.
They about to sing.
Do, re, mi, fa, si, da,
They about to sing. The hardest of the hardest, they gonna sing. Or even on the ride, on the way to the jail in the back seat.
Say, man, I just playing on the curb.
I apologize, officer, man. I apologize.
Listen, man. And Billy, I ain't really like Billy anyway. I'm gonna tell you what Billy did say. So for y'all clients pretty much like keep it 100, keep it a buck, and don't say nothing, or they say make this deal?
I've had plenty of them that have just shut up when it knew it wasn't. And their problem then is the problem with they dude. Yep. You know good and well that ain't my stuff. I'm finna go down here. I'm having to spend money, and I'm having to possibly do time behind your stuff. Now then they'll start depending on the lawyer and the system. Well, it wasn't mine. There's no way I could end up getting convicted. Yeah, there is a way.
Wow.
You understand?
Wow.
But if that's your dude, you understand, then your dude need to freaking step up and own what was his. And at that point, if you see that he's not willing to step up and own his fault,
wow,
then ain't no problem in telling the truth.
Right. And if it's a friend,
right,
why would a friend want you to go do 15 years for something that you didn't do? That's the piece about me that I don't. Now, here's the deal. Even if I don't have to tell you about his business, but I'm gonna tell you what I did not do.
Right.
You see, I mean, I think do they call it dry snitching?
Yeah.
Like dry snitching. Listen, me and Randy was together. The tea was on the table. When nobody else in the room, the tea gone. I didn't drink it. Now what Randy did, that's
it evaporated.
It evaporated or Randy drunk that tea.
It evaporated.
Dry snitching.
That's the angel share.
That's yeah, man. So when have you guys seen in court, or would you say that court is biased against minorities? Have you seen a disproportion of time that's given to a black male as opposed to a white young male?
Unfortunately, yes.
Say more.
So, and I will tell you, when I was a baby public defender, just getting into felony court, it was actually a probation officer who really honestly opened my eyes, because I went in thinking I got a great deal from my client, who was African American. And take to the probation officer, look, this is what's happening, give him probation, I'm excited. And she says, why your client getting this much? I said, what do you mean? She said, I just had another person come through, same thing, same record, they got less. Go back in there and ask for something else. And I did. And from that point forward, my eyes were open, because my guy was going to be a convicted felon, even though it was straight probation. So the difference between straight and deferred is deferred, you don't have a conviction, straight you do. So my guy was going to be a convicted felon. And she literally said to me, she said, Ebony, that means he can't vote. That means he can't, so she opened my eyes with the quickness, and I went back, and from that point forward, I tell you, my eyes have been open, and I pay attention to that stuff, and unfortunately, it does happen. So we have to go in there and fight hard.
And so here is the word on the street. Take the deal. Because you go to court, you're going to get 3 times. That's the word on the street is take the deal, because you can't win in court.
Oh, no. One, my clients don't plead guilty unless they are guilty, and none of them are guilty until they plead guilty. And so
I like that.
At the end of the day, our job as criminal defense attorneys is to make sure that the state has enough evidence to prove their case. If they don't, then they shouldn't. It's tee it up, let's go to trial.
But why do 80% of the cases are played out instead of tried?
A lot of times, 80% of the people did it. Yeah. And so they're looking for the best way out. Okay, part of my job, I tell people a lot, I'm 10% attorney, 90% social worker. I'm showing up trying to help somebody in the future.
That's good,
now,
man.
But my job is make sure the state played by the rules, make sure the police officers did what they were supposed to do in order to get you to that point where, okay, now that I can't get this dismissed, let me go in here and mitigate.
So with that being said, and this is, I think there are some great public defense attorneys. In your personal opinion, how did I ask this question?
to get you saying basically take the deal to get the workload off my table?
Yes, because they have the public defense attorney, they talk to me and say, Pastor, I got so many cases. I don't have, I sometimes only have like a day to prepare.
Right.
Please let me answer that question.
Huh?
I said, please let me answer that question.
Please answer that question.
Because I have been a public defender.
Okay.
I'm also a court-appointed attorney, and I'm in private practice.
Talk.
So I'm going to tell you what I told all of them, what I tell my clients when they come at me with that foolishness, that I have a bar card. That's the number one. I answer to a higher power. I said, so I'm not going to treat your case any differently regardless of who's paying me.
Sure.
And I have a bar card that I have to answer to for the state of Texas, so I want to keep practicing. So I'm not fixing to do anything for you, do anything to you or against you differently than I would do for any other client, because I need to still be able to practice another day. I need to be able to protect that bar card. So I will tell you, as a public defender, we absolutely had case quotas, and it was very high. I was in Dallas County public defender, and we had case quotas. I had to get 100 new cases a month when I was in
100 new. That's
100
ridiculous.
That's
crazy.
When I was a misdemeanor, and 35 when I was in felony. And it's just about, but I was one of those people that was able to move cases. I got good at it.
Ebony, now I know you love the Lord.
I do.
I done saw you come here and get your worship on.
Yes.
You're telling me that with 100 caseloads a month, you can do 100 clients justice?
I do believe I did, honestly.
Yes. Or did you do the best that you could do?
I did the best that I could do, but I don't, honestly, at the end of the day, I do not feel like anybody got less because I had a lot to do. I just learned how to manage it. I learned how to manage it.
What say you, sir?
In any other job.
But therein lies the problem. As a private defense attorney, I get to limit how many cases that I take.
Yeah.
Okay, those numbers are coming. If you're a public defender, Tarrant County doesn't have a public defender's office. It's one of the largest, if not the largest city in the state that does it. So Tarrant County has private defense attorneys who opt to take court-appointed cases. So if Johnny Cochran were alive and living in Tarrant County or practicing law in Tarrant County, he would get appointed a case.
He was
and ain't
my cousin,
nobody
by the
and
way.
their mama gonna say, I don't want
He really
Johnny
was my
Cochran.
cousin.
I don't want Johnny Cochran.
Thank you.
You know, they're gonna say, give me, I'll take Johnny Cochran. I'll take Leon. Because whether you walk in off the street or the court calls me up and says, Leon, I have a case I want to appoint you. Okay, Judge, at the end of the day, you're still getting Leon Reed, and Leon Reed's gonna go hard in the paint.
So Leon, but with that being said though, you have 25 caseloads. She has 100.
That's the problem.
It's not a factor of who's the better attorney.
Right.
You just have more time to prepare.
That's
What I'm saying. So Ebony, if you have those same, let's say 100 in 1 month, what if you had 25 that month? Do you feel you could have been better prepared for those 25 than you were for the 100?
I mean, possibly, but again, that was a misdemeanor. I'll say that misdemeanors kind of tend to dispose more quickly, so they don't take as much time, which is why when we got to felony, 35 was the max.
So there is a limit that can be deemed as too much, and after 35, if you have 50, 75 felonies, that could be overwhelming for a public defense attorney, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
And maybe then the quality of what they're able to put towards their client, it starts to diminish a little bit.
Right, but we weren't so pressed, and this is back in the day. I haven't been a public defender in 12 years.
You're rich now, so you don't got
to. So I will say we weren't so pressed to where we had to just, we still had to take cases to trial that needed to go to trial. And I, honestly had more resources back then because we had an investigator in-house. We had an appellate division in-house. So, we were equipped with what we needed. And the court I was in, Judge Carter Thompson, best, felony judge in Dallas, he said, whatever the state has, I want to make sure you have.
Okay.
So he was, if you needed an expert, whatever the cost, he didn't have a problem.
That's the upside of having someone appointed to you by the court. The law says y'all have to get equal stuff. If you come in off the street and you can't afford on a capital murder case, I can tell you straight up front, unless you got real deep pockets, you're not going to be able to afford me or anybody else.
Wow.
Because of the time commitment that goes into it. So when my phone rings, I have to tell people, I can't take your case right now, because if I get 100 of these $1,000 cases, okay, or I get, 20, $5,000 cases, I'm still making $100,000 on each one, but that $100,000 cases is gonna beat me up. And so when you're in a public defender's office, what dictates, by and large, how many cases you get, how many people were arrested for crimes that month. Okay, if it's only 50 of y'all and a whole bunch got arrested that month, they divide them up.
So with what I'm hearing then, because when families are out there, they get a phone call that their son, their daughter has gotten into trouble and they need an attorney, right? Is it best practices, if you can afford it, get your own private attorney? Is that fair to say or no?
Up to a certain dollar amount, I would say yes. If you have a complex case that has high stakes, first degree felony, capital or something like that, ain't nothing wrong with getting a court appointed or a public defender, because
for the resources
they're
that
gonna
she
have,
says.
one,
Right.
you have to have a certain level of experience to get appointed to certain levels of cases.
That's true.
You'll catch some people that work in the public defender's offices that are killer, no pun intended, on a capital murder case.
Man, I see what you did there.
You know,
And listen,
but then you'll get some that aren't up to speed.
And so what I want to do, I want to bring a guest up from the audience, because I want to hear from a citizen, just to share or ask you guys a few questions from his perspective. Brandon, come on up for a second, and he made me get your mic, I think. Is this the mic for him? Can you have your mic right there? Yeah. So also, come right up, Brandy. With public defense attorneys, you don't get to choose which one that's assigned to you.
Right.
No.
And so, are they all created equal?
No.
And I think that's the problem, because like if I walk into, the first time, I remember I caught a charge when I was in college. It was a second degree assault and battery. My first time seeing my attorney or having to word my attorney was in court. I had never had a conversation with her, never met her or nothing. God being God, just so happened that the assistant DA looked over at me and said, and asked my attorney, may I have a word with him? And he said, sure, go ahead. As he looked at shuffling papers, and he says, so you go to Louisiana Tech? I said, yes, sir. He said, what are your grades? I see you got grades. I have good grades. He said, I tell you what, if I drop these charges against you, will you promise me that you'll graduate? I said, yes, sir.
I know you did.
But outside of that, how many brothers in a situation where they're like that, where people just deciding their fate in the bathroom on the way to court? So anyway, so sir, you've been sitting out there in the audience, man, and you're from LA County, and you've seen a lot of different situations, Compton.
Yeah.
And so as you have these two attorneys here, and we have one of our police officers in the audience, what type questions or comments that you want to make or have said?
Just so when somebody is, I'm from the inner city in Compton, and it's really rough in getting representation because people don't have the finances. Is really, really rough, and public defenders are always offered. How do you go about getting, if you don't want a public defender, getting is there any type of funding that you can get from the government too, or anything to help you with any legal?
When it comes to the government funding, that's the
is
public
it.
defender's
Public
office.
defense attorney.
Yeah.
You understand? So at that point, again, depending on the level of the offense, okay, all attorneys are not created equal.
Right.
That is no. You have to research attorneys just like you do a car. You got to get the Edmunds. You got to get the Blue Book. Part of it's relationships. Part of it's communication skills. You've seen my cousin Vinny, where he got the one guy, couldn't get two words out. You understand? You could get that guy. Maybe keen in the head. Might be able to tap out a memo that's killer. Can't communicate with people.
Wow.
Okay? So you got people that can write a brief. And you got people that can go in there and walk a thief. Right. I can talk to people. Listen to what I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen.
Write a brief or walk a thief.
Wow.
Leon, man.
Now let me ask you this: are all attorneys, judges, the prosecution, defense, are they generally all they know each other?
Most.
I know. Yeah, I think what you're getting at, because a lot of people feel like they collaborate, right?
Yeah.
And it's one system working against the defendant. We're all working together. And this is what I tell people because I am,
That's a great
because
question.
I do it all, public, because I've been a public defender and because I do take court-appointed cases and I am a free world attorney, as we call it, free world. I say it's better for me to have that relationship with the judges and with the prosecutor because you get way more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. And so, like Leon said, it's about relationships.
So
it's
the
about
public defense attorney could
communication.
be an advantage at that time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
You better hope I know him.
Yes.
If I can go up and say, Ronnie, you know, hey, this Leon talking to you, bro. This stuff stinks. You know, this young man got this, that, this, or this young lady is rocking with this, that, and the other. I don't like this. And even if they did do it, I need a solid on this one. I just got something in me that's saying on this one, I need something on. You better hope I have that relationship, or I can walk back in the back with the judge. Judge, I need this on this one.
So but oftentimes, so you're saying as a private defense attorney, you're not looked at as from like ADAs or DAs as like the enemy.
We all
As a private defense attorney,
most of the times we all went to law school together. If we didn't go to law school together, we went to undergrad together. If we didn't go to undergrad and law school together, we all TCU fans. You know, and so it's better to have some type of relationship than if I show up in some podunk county and I walk in there as the dude from Fort Worth, you know, with my pointy shoes on or something, and they looking at me like, who is this guy? You understand? Then yeah, you can catch some of that. Okay, you can get homered. You can get hometowned real quick.
Yeah.
You understand? So that's why a lot of people will hire local counsel.
So
I want Johnny Cochran to come in to Texas, but Johnny's going to hire a local guy with the relationship.
Right. So for viewers watching, does it behoove you to bring an outside out like if something happened in Dallas or in Fort Worth, would it behoove you to hire a Dallas attorney? Could that kind of work against you from like a Tarrant?
Only if the Dallas attorney practices in Fort Worth a lot.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, I practice in Dallas more than I do in Tarrant County, just because I was a public defender, so a lot of my connections were there. So y'all better call me if y'all are coming to Dallas, because I know all of the judges. I know most of the prosecutors. So call me.
So I want to. We have to wrap this up, man. This is so freaking good. But I told myself I'm not going to end this segment until I address domestic violence. There's so many people out there who are victims of domestic violence who feel like they have no options. They say that when they call the police don't do nothing. They don't arrest him. They just make him leave or make her leave. Yeah. My question, sir, is what does a person need to do to get an abuser out of their house and in jail? What needs to happen?
So I hate that perspective, because if one of my officers goes to a scene and there's
he's a sergeant, by the way.
If one of my officers goes to a scene and there's an offense of domestic violence and they do not make an arrest, that's a problem. That's a discipline issue. You can almost get terminated for it.
Really?
It's that serious. So if you have an offense there and you don't make that arrest, that's a big problem.
Do they look at bruises? They look for physical evidence to determine that? Or what?
Everything. A lot of people have cameras inside their house that you may have access to if they let you see the cameras. There's a lot there. Witnesses.
But what if there's no bruise?
Usually you can either... Most of the time, the good thing about the city of Dallas is everybody got warrants. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have actual evidence, you can take them on that class C and you get them separated for the night. And in the meantime, you get her the resources. There's a whole packet that we have to fill out. And we give her resources for shelters and stuff like that. Oftentimes, I know women don't want to leave their home. No, if women or men don't want to leave their home and go to shelters.
So you're saying if you see no evidence of battery, you can still make them leave on a class C misdemeanor for what?
So you go off her word, number one, to prevent further violence at all. So if she says he pushed me, we're going to go unwanted contact class C. We're going to arrest whoever in that situation.
So here's my problem with that. Because there's a new game in town. Mm-hmm. Females today, mad at him, will call the police and lie and say he did this, and that man ain't did nothing, and he going to jail. Is that what you're saying?
It can happen, yeah.
And then he going to say, I'm about to call Leon.
Yeah. Because
that officer didn't see no bruises. I'm trying to tell the man I ain't do that. I got arrested anyway. Now I'm missing work. What happens?
It's that department's policy. A lot of times, the law is the law. The difference between a Class C, offensive contact, unwanted contact, and a Class A, which is assault, bodily injury, family member, is one word: pain.
Yep.
If you felt pain, then you just went from a ticket to handcuffs.
Whoa.
Pain is the only distinguishing element.
Correct.
Now, and so in that instance, most pushes per se don't hurt.
Right.
Is what you fall into.
It's
Right.
Now if you hit something,
Right.
or if you get hit or scratched. Look, he scratched me here.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have been scratched so many times where you look down, you got a scab and you don't know
Then
where
you know.
it came from.
Right.
But they will arrest you. And the reason is, again, departmental policy. Remember the young lady and the dude, the guy, they pulled over in Utah. She was crying. They let them both go. He ended up killing her and went to
right
Florida.
there.
Okay, and everybody's mad at the cops. Why'd you let them go? If you let both of those parties stay there and one of them ends up dead, your city should be prepared to write a check.
And I get it.
And that's why the police officers
and listen,
in that situation will try to arrest someone to
counselor,
alleviate that.
And counselor, you're talking to a guy. I grew up with front row seat to domestic violence from the time I was in Head Start all the way to like the 6th grade. When I grew up, I thought it was normal for women to get beat by men. My mother was abused. All of my aunts were abused. My uncles, most of them were abusers. I've seen it my entire life. It's by the grace of God I've never hit a woman. But my thing is, so I'm not discrediting. I believe there's something psychologically, emotionally wrong with a man who can ball his fist and punch a woman. He's a monster to me.
Right.
Now I'm seeing a different type of villain by the scorned female who the man trying to leave. And she calls the police and say he jumped on me. It's not fair to that man to be arrested because she lying on him.
To the officer, you gotta ask more questions too. So you can you let people talk long
To the
enough.
judgment call.
It can be in certain situations, yeah. As long as there's no bruises. I mean, you can have the conversation and kind of see how her story changes and then kind of get to the bottom of it. Find out why they were into it. You may see that she actually is scorned and kind of able to make a determination. And she may ultimately tell you she lied.
It has to be another type of non-subjective way of that man getting arrested, man, on the spot.
Well, Pastor, at the end of the day, is the officer is making a judgment call, and I have cases right now where he was getting ready to leave. I didn't want him to leave. Yeah.
Yep.
My phone battery is finna go dead.
Okay.
And so I tried to block the door. But I know we're running short on time, but Pastor, we left a lot of meat on the bone. You gotta
I gotta have y'all back.
You gotta have us back.
This has been rich. I gotta have y'all back to talk about more stuff. And my producers are gonna be like, set trip if I don't wrap this up right now. Hey guys, we need a part 2. Obviously, tune in again for I Have Rights Part 2 and keep it going. God bless.
That was good, wasn't it? Now that you know who my man is, go follow Doc on IG at Doc_Goines. I'll see y'all next Tuesday back on the block.